Hey, Homestead Prepper. I want to show you guys a beginner's guide to bending electrical conduit up to 1 inch. So this is just going to be the basics. A couple things you might need are, of course, some conduit benders. This is a 1/2 inch bender I bought back in the 80s at a flea market for $5. This is a newer one. I don't remember what I paid for that, probably $35. This is a 1 inch bender I bought at a flea market here recently, and it was $20. I know it says 3/4 rigid on it. You can bend rigid pipe, which that's that heavy wall, or you can bend 1 inch E.M.T. These are 1/2 inch benders. I don't know where my 3/4 inch bender is right now, and I'm not going to go looking for it. I can make the explanation without that bender, but basically E.M.T is electrometallic tubing. It's a thin wall pipe. It's galvanized. You see it in a lot of commercial buildings, movie theaters, high rises, all kinds of places. And what you have to realize is when you're bending this pipe, we have take up. And my first pipe bending experience was a long time ago, and we were doing some remodeling work at the Tarpon Springs Eye Clinic. The guy I was working for at the time was real high strung, and he put me in an office and told me to pipe it in there and, push the wire in. And I said, well, can you show me how to bend the pipe? And he got real excited. He said, just grab a bender, grab some pipe, and get to it. Well, he wanted to see fire shooting out of my feet, so I went and got some of this 1/2 inch conduit, and consequently what I did is I bent the 90s, and then I had to use a hacksaw and boxes of couplings, but that didn't matter to him. Later, when he left, I was able to, get some of it more figured out and, mess up, some of his conduit too while I was doing it. But I don't know any good electrician out there that's never messed up any conduit while they were trying to learn how to bend pipe. So that's just part of the learning process. But basically, this is 1/2 inch, this is 3/4, and this is 1 inch. Now these are trade sizes. These are actually a lot larger than 1/2 inch diameter and 3/4, all that. So just FYI. But basically you have 5 inches of take up on 1/2 inch and 6 inches on 3/4 and 8 inches on 1 inch. And what that means is if I put the bender right here, this little arrow, like if I were to put the arrow on that mark right there and I were to bend this up, this would bend a 90 10 inches tall. If I were to put a 3/4 bender on here, put it right on that mark, that's 6 inches, and you add 6 to it, that would make it 12. And if you put it right here at 8 inches, that would make it 18. So if you wanted to bend a 90 like I'm wanting to make for my micro barbecue smoker, I'm going to be using this 1 inch conduit, which is a pretty strong stuff. I've used it to replace dowel rods in closets that were wood that broke. This stuff will take a lot of weight. I've even done pull-ups on it. I don't know if I would do the whole 10-foot section between bars, but if you're only talking a span of like 4 feet, it's going to hold up the average person. Now, if you weigh 800 pounds, it's not going to work. But for most applications, this 1 inch is pretty strong. But I need to bend a 32 inch 90. So what I would do is measure from here. Get the tape measure out. And I would put a mark right there, and if you bend it, you'd be adding 32 inches to it. It'd be 40 inches tall. So that's what I'm talking about. Take it. You have to subtract 8 inches, which would be 24. So if I put this right here at 24 inches, and I put it on that arrow, and I bend this thing up, it's going to give me a 90 approximately 32 inches tall. So the other way you can do it, the way I really like doing it, is the bender is facing this way, and you put it right there where that arrow is, and you bend it up, and you're going to get a 32 inch 90. If you measure 32 inches, this is less confusing, I think. You put your mark right there at 32 inches, and you see that little thing right there, that little star. if you put the bender like that, you're not going to get a 32-inch 90. You have to flip it over. Now this is facing the other way, and you put that on there like that, and you'll bend a 32-inch 90. You don't have to know when to subtract or whatever. And that goes for any of these other pipes over here. If you just mark whatever you want the 90 to be at, you put it there and turn. The thing is, the bender can't be this way. It has to be this way, and you'll bend this up. Now, if you're bending a short 90 right here, you don't ever want to go on a job and do the bender like this, where you're bending 10 feet of pipe up in the air. The other electricians will make fun of you and laugh at you. So, you know, that's why you have to turn around and do it the other way. So, I hope I was clear on that. Conduit bending, some people take it very personal, like an art. I remember a long time ago here in Florida, if you lost your job or if you got mad at your boss, you could go to another company that day and have a job as an electrician. One of the journeymen that came to work with us, he had left the company he was working for, which I'm not going to say who it was, but they had rules where they wanted you to, you know, run at least 300 feet of this stuff in a day, and running 300 feet of that in a day on straight runs is not a problem. But when you start running it in offices and you have to take the walls apart and all that, it can be a little time consuming. It can be labor intensive too. But he told me they would give you 300 feet of pipe, and what a lot of guys would do is at the end of the day, they couldn't, you know, bend up 300 feet. They would just throw whatever they had left over up in the ceiling, and, you know, the supervisors and bosses were all happy that, you know, all that pipe got used up. So anyway, guys, I just thought I'd share that. But let's see about bending up some of this pipe, and I'll just show you all a couple more tricks. Okay, another thing you need to learn if you're going to bend pipe is you need to be able to bend an offset, or some people call it a dog leg. And what you got a piece of pipe there, and if you have a piece of a box, the hole, the knockout for the box is a little bit higher. It's not flat. Now, I've seen people run the pipe straight and it's a little bit off, and they run it in there and it's sloped, and it looks, well, it looks unprofessional. But they're very easy to bend. All you do is just put the bender right here. It's not an exact science. You take this and you just give it a little kick like that. Okay, you see how it's bent? Then you take it and you put that right where the bend is, and you just give it another little kick like so, and that makes a dog leg, and it makes your work look a lot more professional, because this can be strapped to the wall flat, and then that will go into a conduit box. Okay, I got my mark there, 32 inches. That's the point where I'm measuring from. You notice which way I have the bender is facing away from the mark. So I'm going to put that on that center star. See if we can zoom in a little bit. See what I'm doing here. Okay, I got that right on there. Zoom out. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a foot here, and I've got a hand right here. We're just going to step on this, and we're going to pull it towards us. Pull that off, and this should measure exactly 32 inches or thereabouts. It's pretty close to it if you can see it. So basically that's how it's done. Okay, the problem we have is I need to bend something like that. So how do we do that? Okay, I just want to make a copy of that. So what we can do is just lay that on top of that pipe. We can use this as a guide. I can take my marker. We can just put a mark right there, and what we're going to do is take the bender, we're measuring from that end, the bender faces this way, just like we did before. Okay, you want to make sure that you got the 90 up this way. Over here you don't have it laying down because it'll end up all catty-wampered. So we're going to try and bend this. There we go. See how it looks. Everything's falling down. Anyway, pretty much exact copy. I just need to hand bend it out a little bit so it's even, and just whack that off right there. Okay, looks like they turned out pretty good, so just need to figure out how to space them. And I've got a set of wheels over here, my wheels. So okay, I got it all finished. I'm going to set my barbecue on top of that. I took the wheels off of the old smoker, and it's pretty strong, so let's get it set on there. Okay, I got it all bolted on there. It wasn't an electrical job per se with wiring, but nonetheless I was able to use electrical conduit to make a stand for my barbecue grill. I just need to wire wheel the thing and get it all cleaned up and paint it and put a vent in that end and put a out on that end. So okay guys, I hope that was informative. Homestead Prepper out.